Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well, having a great, happy hump day, I hope. I just wanted to chime in here real quick to let you guys know that we are starting to plan some really cool events, or at least one, I should say. We are trying to plan our first in-person sync boot camp. We've never done this before. We obviously had our first in-person event this last June, and it was such a success. It was so cool, not only just for me, just to be able to meet you guys and to myself learn a lot about this industry that even after this, I've been in this business for what, I don't know, 15, 16 years, whatever I've been in this business, even still learning more stuff that I didn't learn before and didn't know before by directly talking to library CEOs in the same room and having them all there. And it was just such a great thing for me, but also for a lot of you guys to be able to connect with them, with each other, and also having a lot of you guys finally get your first library contract. And I can't tell you how cool that is to get those emails. And some of them are in video testimonial formats, which I'll share with all of you guys here at some point. But we've had at least 20, maybe even 30 success stories of people that either showed up in person or got their virtual ticket and are now working with one of those library owners that were there. So it actually worked. And to see that kind of bridge being crossed, where some of you guys that were still, you've been banging your head against the wall for months, years, can't get accepted by library. And then finally you're like, oh, okay, now I'm in. And you're just kind of off to the races now. And it's really cool to see that excitement, including some of you guys that were probably about to give up on this industry. I know quite a few of you guys were. Sync Up for many of you guys was your last straw. It was like sort of like, if it's not going to work after this event, I'm done. And I know a lot of you guys are in that position. So it got me thinking, and I started talking with Mike and Trevor, and we started thinking, like, how cool would it be to start putting together some in-person, like, boot camps, essentially, where we can help you get past where you guys are getting stuck. I think, and Trevor and I had a great talk about this on the phone the other day, that he said, the biggest thing that people are certainly craving is more in-person events. I agree. I saw that with Sync Up. We are starved for a lot more person-to-person connection, for sure, above and beyond the education and the connections and all that kind of stuff. Just to be in the same room with each other, it makes a big difference in terms of what those events and those experiences mean to us moving forward. But on top of that, some of you guys not only just getting accepted by libraries, so like those of you that showed up to Sync Up and got accepted by libraries, okay, whatever you're doing is working good enough that you got into a library's catalog, right? But there's going to be quite a larger number of you that showed up to Sync Up or attended virtually and did not get accepted by the libraries, didn't get that response back. And now you're kind of wondering, what could I have done differently? Was it my music? Obviously, they listened to it. I contracted all the CEOs to at least take a listen to every single track that got sent to them, so you can guarantee it wasn't that they skipped over your track or something like that. So they definitely considered and listened to your track. That was your guarantee as a part of that event. But you still weren't guaranteed to get accepted, of course. Your music had to really just sell itself and sell some value to them. So if you didn't get accepted, you're sitting there wondering, okay, now what? Where do I go? Where's my music not shining? What can I do better? So we recently just launched that Sync Connect service, which is definitely going to be a big part of that, because through Sync Connect, you can now get direct feedback from library CEOs and music supervisors on a Zoom call in person. Well, not in person, but on a Zoom call live. So you can basically get their unadulterated, unfiltered, raw impression of your music. And you'll hear immediately. I've coached all of them and told them, not coached, but I've let them know, we don't expect you to accept any music from these sessions. Like, if these tracks are not up to your standards, you don't owe us anything. Like, you don't have to accept any music that you don't feel is right for you. You can listen to all 5 tracks. We have a 5-track limit per session. You can listen to all 5 tracks, and if none of them are up to your standards, let us know why, and that's okay. And that gives all of us some better insights as to when we bring that CEO back up, and we always do follow-up sessions a few months later, how we can basically create a better pitch next time. So we are definitely doing that in the interim through these virtual experiences. But we definitely thought at Sync Up, Mike, Trevor, and I, and maybe some of the other pros, we're going to try to get them involved as well. But how cool would it be that we maybe get you guys into a studio with us? Probably going to be in LA, because that's just generally where, I'm kind of more centrally located. Mike is as well. Trevor, we could probably get him out there without too much hassle. and get you to basically sit down in front of a DAW in a nice studio, and we open up your session and we just do a thorough sort of like inspection, like a mechanic does. Before you go buy a car, you hopefully, if you got a good mechanic, you go throw your car at a mechanic and say, let us know what's working and what's not working about this car, any sort of issues we need to have. So, up until now, we've been able to give you sort of general feedback on your overall mix through pro feedback and some of the stuff we've done, right? But this is going to be one layer deeper, a couple layers deeper. First of all, it'll be in person. We've never done that before. And second of all, we not only will give you sort of overall feedback in person of your entire mix and what the music is doing and if it's licensable, not licensable, all that kind of stuff, but we could have you open up your DAW and we could look at all your tracks and all your stems, your plugins, everything that you're working with. And then we can kind of just pinpoint exactly where we feel things might be getting stuck and where things are just not really quite working, okay? This is something that I think for those of you that have still not gotten accepted by a library, or maybe you got accepted by one, but you still feel like you've got some sticking points in your producing, mixing, or mastering approach, I think we can definitely help you get through those by being there in person with you, okay? Going to be some major limitations though for this, okay? It can only be a small number of you that we do these on an individual basis, right? So this is not going to be like Sync Up where we had 50 people in the room and hundreds of people watching online, all that kind of stuff, and getting to everybody's questions. No, this is going to be stripped down to maybe 5 people. Like really, it's got to be a small number, because I don't want it to get so washed down that we load a room up with 20, 30 people and we barely have enough time to get everybody's track. I want to make sure that everybody feels like there's some really high quality time devoted to their track, okay? So it's certainly on our first event, we're definitely going to be limiting it, and Mike and I have discussed, to basically just 5 producers. It will be in Burbank. We already actually have a studio location set up for it, and it will be in October. So we do have some details, but we haven't released anything in terms of the price or really what you're going to be getting as a part of the service. But I just wanted to make sort of like a little quick teaser announcement with this video, and I also am asking for you guys to, if this is something that sounds really interesting to you and you feel like you would be able to either drive to Burbank or fly to Burbank, and you feel like it'd be worth your investment of time and money, we need to hear from you in terms of what do you want from us and what would really make the difference in terms of if we provided a certain type of value, service, feedback, guidance, something like that. What would make you go, absolutely, I'm signing up, I'm going to be one of your first 5? Because we need to make sure that if we're going to go spend the time and dedicate pretty much a whole Saturday to this, it'll be kind of like a 9 to 5 all day kind of thing. And we'll provide lunch, we'll provide drinks and all that kind of stuff. Whether or not it gets live streamed, that's something we're still kind of figuring out how we're going to actually put that together. We definitely want some of it to be just kind of made available for all of you guys, whether it's going to be everybody on YouTube or it's just going to be in Sync Academy. I haven't made that decision yet. We haven't made that decision yet, but I definitely want this to be something that for those of you that are just ready, like it's not going to be a lot of you, but there's going to be some of you that feel like I am ready to get out of my own way, essentially, right? And I need somebody to kind of like, you got to be very coachable for this too, right? So if you're going to show up to this kind of a thing and we tell you, this is one of the reasons why at Sync Up, we're going to have to change our feedback process, because we were giving some feedback during the session and some of you I could feel immediately got defensive about the notes that we were giving. And that's not going to be happening here. I'm just going to let you guys know that if you're coming, you're going to come all the way for a coaching session, for a boot camp. You've got to be in student mode, okay? It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything we say, right? We're not God. We don't have the answer for everything. Music is a very subjective thing. Even sync licensing has a lot of subjective tastes and opinions and preferences. But if you're going to show up, you at least value my opinion, you value Mike's opinion and Trevor's opinion, whoever we're going to be involved with. The first event's going to be, just so you know, Mike and myself. I'm going to definitely get Trevor involved, and we're going to do some more with him as well in the future. Granted, assuming this goes well and we want to keep doing these kind of things, right? I don't want to make promises that I don't for sure know that I can keep. But if you show up, like, we expect you to be in student mode, right? Meaning you can be coachable. We can tell you honest truths. Sometimes can be difficult truths. We'll always be positive with how we present it. We'll never just destroy anybody. We never do that with any of our services and just tell you your music's horrible and just give up. That's not what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting helpful, insightful, actionable things that you can do. But if something's not working, that's what you're coming for us for, right? If you have a little bit of cancer, quote unquote, in your DAW session, we're going to point it out. We're going to say, this is why you've got a mess in your mix, or this is why you've got so much low end booming out. It's starting to distort your entire mix, or here's where in your mixing process, things went awry. And we're definitely going to ask you questions. We're going to say, this is an interesting kick selection. Why did you choose this kick, right? Why is this the best kick you possibly could have found for this, let's say, EDM track? And we're going to have you start thinking about your choices as well, probably in ways that maybe you've never thought about them before. And we're going to think and explain to you our thought process for, well, this kick, it does the job of a kick, but let's go and find some other kick samples and let's start A/B comparing what you've selected versus what my ears want to hear from this track. And I'm going to explain to you why I would go for a different kick. So it's not just about us fixing your track. We're not doing that in this session. We can certainly give you some tips, insights, mixing and mastering sort of guidance. We can definitely do that, but we're not here to create your tracks for you. You're still the CEO of your creativity. What we're going to do is basically just start to help your thought process and hopefully get your ears to get trained for this. I've realized one of the biggest reasons why I think a lot of producers struggle is their ears don't tell them things that maybe my ears are telling me, right? So when I give feedback, I go, there's a lot of problems in this, like timing wise. Why didn't your ears hear these timing problems with your drums? Like for this particular drum fill, there's a timing issue right here. You wouldn't have submitted this if your ears heard that problem. So when you hear this drum, what's going on? Like when you hear this, whatever the issue is going to be, it might not just be drums, but this mixing or this instrument or whatever. Why was this like the best you felt you could have done for this part of it? And we're going to really challenge you guys on this. It is going to be sort of like a boot camp. We're going to make you work. We're going to make you think about your choices and why you made your choices. And then we're going to basically push back on those to say, okay, we understand where that's going to go. And we're going to try to coach you into making better choices and wiser choices. And of course, the biggest overall theme of all of this is making more licensable choices. If your choices are becoming more licensable, then you're going to be creating more licensable music, of course. It's going to be getting more placements, getting accepted more into libraries, and all that good stuff. And of course, on top of it, it's going to be a fun hang. It's going to be a fun full day, a lot of work, of course, a lot of listening to great music, but hopefully a lot of laughter, a lot of hanging out, a lot of joke telling, a lot of talking shop about the industry and producing music and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a very, very memorable event, especially since it's going to be so small, so intimate. And we've got a great, like super classy, high quality, like A-level studio space picked out. And we are not sparing any expense on that. We are basically going to be going all out in terms of getting one of the most premier premium spaces that we feel that we can really afford for this kind of an event, because we want to give you guys a really great experience that you're going to feel comfortable, not sort of crammed into a tiny little space, but huge viewing screen. We'll have some pictures and maybe some videos actually up once we take a little tour. I'm going to go down there probably this weekend and go tour it with Mike. So we'll hopefully have some stuff for you guys to check out on that. But yeah, just a quick stream today to let you guys know that this is something that we are working on. We are certainly putting some plans in to probably have this launched by the end of October. So be on the lookout for it. And again, if you're watching this and this is really sort of scratching your itch and this really seems like something you'd be interested in, I need to know about that. And I also need to know about what is it about this kind of event, this kind of an experience that would really make or break it for you, that would really have you go, yes, I would certainly sign up for this, because we're not here just to waste our own time or give ourselves a pat on the back or just spend a whole Saturday in a studio for no reason. Like, we really want to make real differences in your guys' careers and your guys' lives. So please do comment below anywhere you can, or just email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com, and I'd love to hear from you. So that's all I got today. Quick live video. You guys get back to whatever it is that you are up to, and hopefully we